This is from Matt Schumer. Something big is happening. We have an AI generated photo here. Pretty good one, actually. And I agree. Something big is happening. Let's see what Matt thinks. I think we're in alignment from what I've scanned. I'd love to hear what you guys want to hear. Think back to February 2020. If you were paying attention, you might have noticed a few people talking about a virus spreading overseas. Most of us weren't paying close attention. The stock market was great. Kids were in school. You were going to restaurants and planning trips. If someone told you they were stockpiling toilet paper, you would have thought they were spending too much on a weird corner of the internet. Then, over about 3 weeks, the entire world changed. Your office closed, your kids came home, and life rearranged itself into something you wouldn't have believed a month earlier. It was a weird time thinking back to COVID. It was a strange time. We're in the overblown phase of something much bigger than COVID. I've spent 6 years building an AI startup and investing in the space. I live in this world, and I'm writing this for the people in my world who don't. My family, my friends, the people I care about who keep asking me, so what's the deal with AI? And getting an answer that doesn't do justice to what's actually happening. I keep giving them the polite version, the cocktail party version, because the honest version sounds like I've lost my mind. For a while I told myself that this was good enough reason to keep what's truly happening to myself. The gap between what I've been saying and what's happening has gotten too big. The people I care about deserve to hear what is coming, even if it sounds crazy. I don't know about you guys, but I have this exact same feeling whenever I talk to people outside of our AI sphere at parties. They say, I don't really use AI. I used it a couple of years ago. It wasn't good. It can never do my job. They'll agree, oh yeah, it can do what other people do. But me, no, I'm a special petal. I'm a special, it can never do what I do. Yeah, I don't know if that's ignorance or arrogance, but it's going to bite people in the arse, unfortunately. Dinner parties, you don't go in hard on people and say, hey, no, you need to wake up. This is coming for you, your job, family, community. You don't do that. So Matt Schumer is saying exactly the same thing. For the last couple of years, he's been polite about it, but it's time for people to realize, shit, it's here. I should be clear about something up front. Even though I work in AI, I have almost no influence over what is about to happen, and neither do the vast majority of the industry. The future is being shaped by a remarkably small number of people. A few hundred researchers at a handful of companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google DeepMind, and a few others. Honestly, it's those big three, I would say. XAI don't have a hand on the ball, and the Chinese AI companies are about 6 months behind. So it's mainly these big three. And I would argue it's less than a few hundred researchers, because there's even less people at the top, and they're the ones making the decisions. A single training run managed by a small team over a few months can produce an AI system that shifts the entire trajectory of the technology. We saw this last week with Opus 4.6 and the ability for it to work independently for, I think they set it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, building its own C compiler. That one prompt, I think it was a 200-word prompt, knocked large chunks out of the stock market when people realized that, oh crap, this can now build software at an advanced level. It can orchestrate itself, work through a large problem, and it can create something complex. We are constantly surprised, or the public is constantly surprised, when the AI keeps getting better, despite all of the evidence over the last couple of years that it's getting a lot better, a lot faster. So a small team, a 200-word prompt to create a C compiler in Opus 4.6, then releasing that publicly, the findings saying, hey, look, these AIs can orchestrate and work by themselves for an extended period of time. That was enough to rattle the stock market and to cause a number of company stocks to come crashing down, because SaaS is looking very fragile at the moment. And that's, again, a small team over a few months can do that. Most of us who work in AI are building on top of foundations we didn't lay. So yes, we build on top of OpenAI, we build on top of Anthropic, we build on top of Gemini. We do not train our own models, because now it costs hundreds of millions of dollars. You need a huge amount of processing power and electricity. It is not feasible for the majority of companies. It's only these behemoth companies who are able to do this. We're watching this unfold the same as you. We just happen to be close enough to feel the ground shake first. And then Matt continues, but it's time now. This is happening right now, and I need you to understand it, Wei. I know this has happened because it happened to me first. Here's the thing nobody outside of tech quite understands yet. The reason so many people in the industry are sounding the alarm is because this is already happening to us. We're not making predictions. We're telling you what's already occurred in our jobs and warning you that you are next. We've had a couple of high-profile resignations over the last few days. We had the head of AI safety, Anthropic, resigned with a very floral, very beautiful resignation letter that had, I think, 4 footnotes and a poem at the end. But the fact that he resigned is a little worrying. And we've had a number. There was another resignation just, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, as well of high-level people saying, I'm out. For years, AI has been improving steadily, big jumps here and there. Then in 2025, new techniques unlocked a faster pace of progress, and it got even faster. Each new model wasn't just better, it was better by a wider margin, and the time between releases was shorter. We have a name for that, exponential. I was using AI more, watching it handle things I used to think required my expertise. So I am somebody, Kyle, myself, I am somebody who has to cover this every single day. I'm keeping on top of what is happening in artificial intelligence. It is getting faster. The releases are coming much quicker and the jumps are larger each time. A lot of people are feeling it far behind because the speed is not something we're used to. Humans are not very good at rapid changes and the models are so fast. There's this concept Ethan Mollick has of the 3 sleepless nights. If you sit down with artificial intelligence, you actually think about AI and you really grapple with what this means for you, your job, your family, your community, your country, economic systems. Once you engage with them, you're going to have 3 sleepless nights. You're going to be up at night being like, oh my God, what if it, oh God, maybe this means that, and you're going to not be able to sleep because it is worrying and it should be worrying. If you have not had those 3 sleepless nights, Ethan Mollick says, then you're probably not thinking about this enough. You probably haven't gone through all the ramifications in your head and realized, oh shit. So I had a 4th sleepless night last week with the release of Opus 4.6 and Codex 5.3 hot on its heels, adding them to my OpenClaw, my Claude bot. I had this realization of, oh God, this is getting really fast, really good, really fast. And this is going to be a problem. And I say this as somebody who is engaging with this technology daily. Last week for me was, oh God, we're moving towards something earth-shattering very quickly. The functional usage means a lot of jobs, a lot of lives are going to change very quickly. Oh God, he's talking about the same thing here. Then on February the 5th, he had this exactly 1 week ago. 2 major labs released new models on the same day, GPT 5.3 Codex from OpenAI and Opus 4.6 from Anthropic. Matt felt exactly the same as I did. Something clicked, not like a light switch, more like the moment you realize the water has been rising around you and now it's at your chest. It's the realization that it's a bit warm in here. That's what I had last week as well. So I'm glad to see Matt felt the same. His realization was, I am no longer needed for the actual technical work of my job. I describe what I want built in plain English, and it just appears. Not a rough draft I need to fix, the finished thing. I tell the AI what I want, walk away from the computer for 4 hours, and come back to find the work done. Done better than I would have done it myself, with no corrections needed. A couple of months ago, I was going back and forth with the AI, guiding it, making edits. Now I just describe the outcome and I leave. So this has been the criticism that's been thrown at vibe coding for years. The term vibe coding was coined about a year ago, early February 2025. People were like, yeah, it can write some lines of code, but I don't trust it. And it can never do architecture. It's never going to be able to construct a whole plan for software. Or even if it can do the architecture, it can't work out what it should be building. It can't decide what a good application is going to be, what a good piece of software is. The bar keeps rising. A year, 2 years ago, it couldn't write code properly. Syntax has now basically been fixed. I've seen people like Andrej Karpathy talk about this, saying, okay, syntax is done. So the line by line piece of code, that's done. So we're moving up the levels of abstraction, and AI is very quickly chomping up each of these levels. The coders and the programmers are falling back each time and being like, oh, yeah, sure, it can do that, but it can't do this next part. And then 6 months down the line, it can do that next part. We keep moving the goalpost back. We keep retreating. This is not just for coders. There's something called the jagged frontier, in artificial intelligence, where AI is improving at different rates in different sectors. It's improving very quickly in coding and programming because the people building it are coders and programmers. They want to build pieces of software. This is their domain. It's not pushing forward as quickly in other areas because the people focusing on the problems are not as savvy with the AI technology. So accountancy, legal, for example, it might not be pushing forward as fast there because the people working on the problems are coders and programmers, and they're not necessarily thinking about how to do this in law and accounting. That does not mean it won't be coming. It will, as soon as somebody who is in that domain, somebody who has that industry experience, combines the technology that we have, the vibe coding, the agentic engineering, with legal work, with accounting work, then it's just going to sweep through. But at the moment, progress is focused here. Even if you're not a coder, pay attention to what's happening in this domain as a canary in the coal mine for your industry. So Matt continues, let me give you an example so you can understand what this actually looks like in practice. I'll tell the AI, I want to build this app, here's what it should do and roughly what it should look like. It writes tens of thousands of lines of code. Then, the part that would have been unthinkable years ago, it opens the apps itself. It clicks through the buttons, it tests the features, it uses the app in a way a person would. If it doesn't like something, it goes back and changes it on its own. It iterates like a developer would, fixing and refining until satisfied. Only once it has decided the app meets its own standards does it come back to me and say, it's ready for you to test. When I test it, it's usually perfect. This is new. A year ago, our tools didn't do this unless you were very clever with it and set it up to do recursive and iterative testing. Now it's becoming normal. It will create and test itself, work out bugs, and then come back to you. So a lot of vibe coding a year ago was getting a rough draft from the artificial intelligence, running it, looking at it and being like, this is a bit shit. Here's what you need to do to fix it. Or there's a bug here, it didn't work for this reason. Here's the code of the bug, the console response. This is what's gone wrong. Fix it. We no longer need the human to do that part because the AI will deploy it, see what the bugs are, fix those bugs. The AI will deploy it, click around, move through it as if it were 10,000 users trying different things and work out how it can improve with each iteration. We are removing more from the human because we're not needed as much. This is coding and programming specifically, but this will be coming for other industries. You just need to extrapolate out. So he says, Matt continues, I'm not exaggerating. This is what my Monday looked like last week. It was the model released last week, GPT 5.3 Codex, that shook me the most. It wasn't just executing my instructions, it was making intelligent decisions. It had something that felt like judgment, like taste. The inexplicable sense of knowing what the right call is. We've been saying AI doesn't have taste, it doesn't have judgment. It's not good at that kind of stuff. So we still need a human operator who has that judgment to tell it whether it's done a good job or not. This has been another defense. I've used this myself, saying you are still valuable because you have been working in your industry, been doing your task for a decade. You know what a good output looks like, whether it's done a good job or not, and therefore you are able to instruct the AI better. That may not be the moat that we think it is. That may not be required for that much longer. So he's saying that Codex 5.3 has taste. It has something or something that is close enough to that distinction is starting not to matter. Matt continues, I've always been early to adopt AI tools, but the last few months have shocked me. These new AI models aren't incremental improvements. This is a different thing entirely. And here's why it matters to you, even if you do not work in tech. The AI labs made deliberate choice. They focused on making AI great at writing code first. Building AI requires a lot of code. If AI can write that code, it can help build the next version of itself. A smarter version which writes better code, which builds an even smarter version. Making AI great at coding was the strategy that unlocks everything else. That's why they did it first. My job changed before yours, not because they were targeting software engineers. It was the side effect of where they chose to aim first. They're not focusing on other industries because it's not as important. The AI can just focus on the industries for them. There is no point OpenAI setting up a department that focuses on building AI for legal or building AI for medical or building AI for accountancy. That's not worthwhile. Instead, you make your main model, ChatGPT, better until you can just set it on those industries and it will have those industries locked up in a day. So you don't bother with the focusing. You don't get humans to focus on it. You just focus on creating the best AI possible, and then you can set it on the different industries and you can flesh out that jagged frontier quickly. Matt continues, they've now done it. They're moving on. The experience tech workers have had over the past year of watching AI go from a helpful tool to it does my job better is the experience everyone else is about to have. Law, finance, medicine, accounting, consultancy, writing, design, analysis, customer service. Not in 10 years. The people building these systems say 1 to 5 years. Some say yes. And given what I've seen in the last couple of months, I think less is more likely. But I tried AI and it wasn't that good. I hear this constantly. I understand it because it used to be true, Matt continues. If you tried ChatGPT in 2023 or early 2024 and thought this makes stuff up or this isn't that impressive, you were right. Those early versions were genuinely limited. They hallucinated. They confidently said things that were nonsense. this is still a defense that people put up when they're talking about artificial intelligence. They'll say, yeah, I used it back when it came out and it was crap and it made things up. And then they'll give you an example of something it made up. And it's okay, cool. It doesn't really do that anymore. It's got search or it's got deep research mode. And if you are using it correctly, that's going to be less of an issue. Now, hallucination rates have nosedived over the last couple of years. If you cannot have hallucinations, use a deep research mode or you're going to use search. And you're going to ask specifically, hey, can you make sure you footnote this? We've seen some embarrassing examples like Deloitte twice last year put out reports that had AI hallucinations in it. That's probably because they weren't using a model that limits the hallucinations and prompted it incorrectly. Finally, do a human check, especially if you are publishing a report to a government. They gave one to the Australian government for millions of dollars. You have to do these things. A lot of people are using ChatGPT like they were a couple of years ago. They used it a couple of years ago and never used it again. They've been left behind because they don't realize how far AI has come. That was 2 years ago. In AI time, that is ancient history. 2 years in AI is an obscene amount of time. I've got some books like this. This is a history of artificial intelligence. Great book, but it was published before ChatGPT came out. So it is a little bit behind on its predictions of what's going to happen. The models today are unrecognizable from what existed even 6 months ago. Hell, shit, they're unrecognizable from a month ago. The debate about whether AI is really getting better or hitting a wall, the plateau that we talk about, has been going on for over a year. And that debate is over, Matt is saying. It's done. Anyone still making an argument either hasn't used the current models, has an incentive to downplay what's happening, like they don't want it to happen because their job relies on it not happening, or is evaluating based on an experience from 2024 that is no longer relevant. I don't say that to be dismissive. The gap between public perception and current reality is now enormous, and that gap is dangerous because it's preventing people from preparing. So this is why I, Kyle, set up AI with Kyle to get people ready for what is coming. I have been writing about this stuff for a couple of years, talking about how you need to use artificial intelligence, take advantage of it and set up a business, set up income, start getting money coming in using this tool. And it's the easiest time to start a business because our jobs are about to get sledgehammered. It's coming for industry after industry. I'm not saying this to be alarmist. I'm not saying this to be a doomer. I'm saying it is a reality. And you need other sources of income, other things that you do that are outside of your job so that you have some flexibility, you have optionality, and you're ready for this. I've put together something called the AI Readiness course. It's a free course. If you join the community AI with Kyle.com, you can get it there. And then there's a whole bunch of guides and courses. Again, it's all free. I've got 8 free courses and 100 plus playbooks talking about how you can use AI across the board for building a business and for generating money. This is not get rich quick stuff. These are very detailed guides because we need to prepare and we need other people to prepare. And if you care about people in your life, you need to tell them, get your head out of your butt basically and pay attention to this because otherwise it's going to be really messy. So Matt continues, part of the problem is that most people are using the free version of AI tools. Yeah. The free version is over a year behind what paying users access. Judging AI based on free tier ChatGPT is like evaluating the state of smartphones by using a flip phone. The people paying for the best tools actually using them daily for real work know what's coming. So I use Opus 4.6 and Codex 5.3. I have a $200 a month Anthropic plan, and I have that connected to OpenClaw. I use that in Claude Code. I use that in Cursor. And that's why I'm able to produce so much. That's why I'm able to create not just software, not just applications and websites, but I use it for my daily driver for all work. I use Claude Code in all aspects of my life, all of my business. So if I need marketing copy, I'm running a METR ads campaign with over 90 video variations. I had AI help me script all of that. I recorded them myself. I don't use AI avatars, but then I used it to create a system of testing out these adverts. All of the copy I need to be testing, and then the testing schedule. That's all being passed over to AI, and that is working really well. So it's not just for coding. It's not just for building websites or building applications. You can use this stuff in all aspects of your business and your personal life as well. But if you are using a free version of ChatGPT, you might not realize just how good some of the latest models are, unfortunately. So there is a growing gap between the people who can afford to pay for it and who can afford $100 or $200 a month, which is a lot of money. Matt continues, think of my friend who's a lawyer. I keep telling him to try AI at his firm and he keeps finding reasons it won't work. Lawyers are the worst for this. I was at the pub months ago, ended up talking to a lawyer in chambers here, and he told me all of the reasons. He found out I worked in AI, and he told me all of the reasons why AI would never work, and it was not helpful in law, why his job is safe. And he had all these beautifully constructed arguments about why that was, and I wasn't going to fight him on it. That's okay, you're being obstinate. Your work is done, basically. Lawyers are good at arguing why it's not, but I think it's going to crush the legal industry. This guy keeps finding reasons it won't work. It's not built for his speciality. It made an error when he tested it. It doesn't understand the nuance. I'm special, it can't do what I do. But I've had partners at major law firms reach out because they've tried current versions and see where this is going. One managing partner at a large firm spends hours every day using AI. He told me it's like having a team of associates available instantly. He's not using it because it's a toy, he's using it because it works. Every couple of months it gets significantly more capable for his work. He said, if it stays on this trajectory, which it probably will, and it'll probably speed up if anything, he expects it'll be able to do most of what he does. He's a managing partner with decades of experience. He's not panicking, but he's paying very close attention. An article in The Spectator called AI Will Kill All the Lawyers, which was a very similar theme. Basically, the journalist, he sat down with a senior English barrister, put a few vodka martinis into him, I think it was, or espresso martinis, and the barrister spilled that it's over. He's been using AI, and the AI does things better than he. And he said the industry is about to get absolutely steamrolled. Again, we're not talking about lawyers in particular, we're not talking about coders in particular. These are just examples you need to think about your industry. AI will hit every industry at different times. That is the jagged frontier. The people ahead in their industries actually experimenting are not dismissing this. They're blown away by what it can already do and positioning themselves accordingly. Every industry needs their AI person for lawyering, that's not what it's called, for legal. The AI person for nursing. We need these people out there creating content, teaching, doing workshops, talking to their peers about, hey, this is here. This is going to be an issue and you need to pay attention to what this means. We need all these people in different industries. I can't talk to lawyers about why they need to pay attention to AI because I don't know enough about their industry. I can't talk to doctors about why they need to pay attention to this because I don't know enough about their industry. We need people like you, if you're sitting at home, who have been in an industry, who have domain experience, who know what AI is useful for and are paying attention to the technology. We need you to go and talk to your people, and it's super, super important. And it's a very good place to be. When I give workshops, I charge about £2,000 an hour. I have 150 students who I license my material out to, and they go and give workshops too and can make thousands per hour because companies and individuals right now are sitting up and thinking, oh, what do we do about all of this? You can get paid well by taking that position in your industry as the person. I am the person you go to when you want to learn about AI. It's a very good opportunity right now. So Matt continues, how fast is this actually moving? In 2022, AI couldn't do basic arithmetic reliably. It would confidently tell you that 7 times 8 is 54. I think that's a terrible example, Matt, but that is fine. They're not made for arithmetic. They're made for language, and they can use tools to do arithmetic, but we're not going to get stuck there. I just don't think it's a good example, Matt. By 2023, it could pass the bar exam. That is something that AI or large language models are much better at than doing arithmetic, so that's fine. By 2024, it could write working software and explain graduate level science, and by 2025, some of the best engineers in the world said they had handed most of their coding work over to AI. On February the 5th, 2026, new models arrived that made everything before feel like a different era. I think it's really hard to very poor at seeing trends. Humans are not very good at it. We're good at looking back 20, 30 years and be like, oh yeah, we can see which way it's trending. When we're in the midst of it, we're not good at it. It's difficult to think back and remind yourself how bad AI was a couple of years ago. What I find really useful is if we look at visual AI, because comparing like GPT 3.5 to GPT 5.3 is quite difficult because it's a little bit abstract. What we can do though is we can compare images. This makes it easier. Let's see if I pull this one up. Oh, I don't know. Get out of here. There we go. This was February 2022, Midjourney version 1. Oh, this is far too old. Okay, that's fine. This was within... No, that is not correct. Let's find another one. There we go. Oh dear, we're going to LinkedIn. We don't want to go to Go. Can I get rid of that? Nope. So here we go. Version 1. What was the prompt? I don't know. Anyway, this was version 1, lady with dappled, I assumed lady with dappled lighting. Version 2, version 3, you can see it's starting to get a face at least here. Version 4, a bit cartoony, not hyper realistic, but then it goes on. This timeline here is 2 years, 3 years. We're doing the same thing with video. If you've seen the new Seed Dance videos, we have just crossed over the point where video has become pretty much hyper realistic and very easy to do with minimal prompting, in the same way Nano Banana Pro took us over that benchmark a couple of months ago. This is a much easier way to show people the progress of artificial intelligence, because when you ask them to think about the change from 3.5 to 5.3, that's far too abstract. So I like to use these visual examples instead. If you haven't tried AI in the last few months, what exists today would be unrecognizable. There's an organization called METR that measures this with data. They track real-world tasks measured by how long it would take a human expert that a model can complete successfully end-to-end without human help. About a year ago, the answer was 10 minutes, then an hour, then several hours. The most recent measurement showed the AI completing tasks that take a human expert nearly 5 hours. That number is doubling approximately every 7 months, with recent data suggesting it may be accelerating to every 4 months. Tasks that would have taken a human quite a substantial amount of time, 5 hours is realistically how much somebody works in a day, because nobody actually works 8 hours really, do they? Because they're faffing around so much. Now AI can tackle those kind of tasks of that complexity with no problem, and that is speeding up. But even this measurement hasn't been updated to include the models that just came out this week. In my experience using them, the jump is extremely significant. I agree with Matt. There was something special about Opus 4.5 and Codex 5.3, which I do not normally feel about the incremental model changes. We get a new model every couple of months, and normally it's, oh yeah, it's fine. So 5 to 5.1, that's fine. 5 to 5.2, yeah, sure, that's cool. 5 to 5.3 for some reasons. Oh, shit, okay, here we go. And it's the same with Opus 4.5 to 4.6. I wasn't expecting to be blown away, and then I started using it and I was like, okay, this is a much bigger jump than I expected. It's held for years with no sign of flattening. Matthew continues, we're looking at AI that can work independently for days within the next year, weeks within 2, month-long projects within 3. We've already seen this with the C compiler. The Anthropic team set Opus 4.6 on the task of building a C compiler. Compilers are not easy to build. I tasked 16 agents with writing a Rust-based C compiler capable of compiling the Linux kernel. Over nearly 2,000 Claude code sessions and $20,000 in API cost, the agent team produced a 100,000 line compiler that can build Linux on various processors. So he says the compiler is an interesting artifact on its own, but I focus on what I learned about designing harnesses for long-running autonomous agent teams, how to write tests that keep agents on track without human oversights, how to structure work so multiple agents can make progress in parallel, and where the approach hits its ceiling. So this was a fascinating example, and I think this worked for 2 weeks with very limited human interaction. So it just went off and did its own thing, with all the agents working things out amongst themselves. When one hit a block, it would go up to like a manager agent who would help to delegate to the other agents in order to work their way through. And they continued in this way for weeks and spent $20,000 with credits until the task was done. So that's where we're moving. So Matt says we'll probably be there within a couple of years. We're there. We are there already. So I would say these timelines that Matt puts out here, shrink them. Amodei, the head of Anthropic, has said the AI model is substantially smarter than almost all humans at almost all tasks are on track for 2026 or 2027. That's AGI. That is artificial general intelligence, when we have an AI that can, at the same level or higher, complete any task that you throw at a human being. So it's general because it can generalize to any task rather than focus on specific tasks like writing sonnets, legal work, or playing chess. One model will be able to tackle all of those things and beat humans across the board. Amodei, this was at Davos a couple of weeks ago, he was saying, yep, we'll be there in a year or 2. Whereas Hassabis was a little bit more conservative. He said there's a 50-50 chance we get there by the end of the decade, so 2030, which might sound overly conservative. Why is he talking about such slow timelines? That is not slow. For us to create an intelligence that is greater than ours, for the human race to finally experience an intelligence superior to ours, changes our place in the universe. And the fact that has a 50% chance of happening in the next 4 or 5 years is not slow. Our dopamine-addled brains may think that's a long time now, but good God, it is not. That is very quick when it comes to technological change, economic change, social change. That timeline is tiny. Historical change normally takes a long time, but we're talking about 3-4 years. Matt continues. If an AI is smarter than most PhDs, do you think it can't do most office jobs? Think about what that means for your work. AI is now building the next AI. One more important development and the least understood. On February the 5th, OpenAI released GPT 5.3 Codex. In the technical documentation, they included this quote: GPT 5.3 Codex is our first model that was instrumental in creating itself. The Codex team used early versions to debug its own training, manage deployment, and diagnose test results and evaluations. Notice the Codex team is still here. Will they be? Will the Codex team be needed for the next go around on this? Or could you set Codex 5.3 on the task of creating Codex 5.4 Codex by itself with minimal human intervention? This gets to the question of recursively self-improving artificial intelligence. This is something that Geoffrey Hinton has warned about. So Geoffrey Hinton does a lot of talks where he says, we've let it out of the box. As soon as we open source the models and allowed people to download them, that was opening Pandora's box. Big mistake. He's quite anti-open source for that reason. One of the big fears of Geoffrey Hinton is that models will start to recursively self-improve. When that happens, that's the ball game. That is when we will accelerate beyond our ken, beyond our ability to keep up with the technology, and we'll very quickly go to AGI. And then if we hit AGI, ASI, artificial superintelligence, will probably happen almost immediately afterwards, because the AIs will work out how to get to that next stage much faster than we ever could. And that's when we get very sci-fi, but it could potentially happen in the next couple of years. And this is the risk that Nobel laureate Geoffrey Hinton talks about, is recursive self-improvement. And that's exactly what is happening here. They're still required the team to set it up, to say, hey, we're building a new model. Matt continues, this isn't a prediction about what might happen someday. This is OpenAI telling you the AI they released was used to create itself. An early version was used to create the final version. AI is now intelligent enough to contribute to its own improvements. The CEO of Anthropic says AI is now writing much of the code at his company. So co-work, for example, was written in Claude code fully, and the Claude code team uses Claude code to write updates and improvements. Boris Cherney, head of Claude Code, says they don't write human code anymore. It's all written by Claude Code. Some of that might be marketing, but I don't think it's much of a leap of imagination to believe it's true. Dario says that feedback loop between the current AI and the next generation AI is gathering steam month by month. He says we may be 1 or 2 years away from the point where the current generation of AI autonomously builds the next. Each generation helps build the next, which is smarter, which builds the next faster, which is smarter still. The researchers call this an intelligence explosion. And the people who would know, the ones building it, believe the process has already started. This is again why we might be seeing resignations coming from some of the top labs. The head of safety at Anthropic put in his resignation last week, and I'm sure is going to go and retire with a lot of stock, or sell off his stock and go and retire to a beach and not have to worry about it. But one of the reasons was, we are building something that we can't control, and this is dangerous, and I don't want to have anything to do with it. It's like quitting the Manhattan Project while building a nuclear weapon. We should be concerned. Matt continues with what this means for your job. I'm going to be direct with Dario Amodei, probably the most safety-focused CEO in AI, predicted AI will eliminate 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs within 1 to 5 years. Amodei and Anthropic are the ones who are most focused on safety. They're most focused on ethics. They have a chief philosopher. No other companies have one of those. Yes, their safety lead did leave this week, which is a bit worrying, but they are generally more careful about their development than a lot of the other companies. OpenAI are just busy, just releasing, just get it out the door. XAI do not care, as we can see, whereas Anthropic are a bit more sure-footed, and they want to make sure that their models are very good, safe, protected. They are the most prompt injection proof, for example. The most safety-focused CEO is saying it is going to take out 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs within a year. Most of our workforce is already a poor job market. Many in the industry think he's being conservative. Given what the latest models can do, the capability for massive disruption could be here by the end of this year. It takes time to ripple through the economy, but underlying ability is arriving now. So there's this concept of the capability overhang in artificial intelligence where it's going to take some time for individuals, for companies, for economy, for the stock market, etc., to realize all the things we can do with AI. We can already do a huge amount that we are not. The capability of AI is already so high, but we as humans have not managed to harness all of that capability yet. So there's an overhang. So Ethan Mollick talks about the fact that if we stop developing AI right now, it would still take years to catch up and to practically implement it throughout our society. But instead of that, it's continuing to get better. So that overhang is getting, there are still huge opportunities to actually use the AI in daily life and in business that haven't been taken yet. So yeah, that's going to take a while because organizations, institutions, companies are slow. It takes time for stuff to ripple through. There's a lot of bureaucracy. There's a lot of red tape. There will be pushback from workers to save their jobs. So it will take time for the full implications of artificial intelligence and the full capability to be pushed into companies, but it will happen eventually. Matt continues, from every previous wave of automation, and I need you to understand why. This is really important. This is really important. AI is not just a tool. AI isn't replacing one specific skill. It's a general substitute for cognitive work. We've never had this before. It gets better at everything simultaneously. When factories automated, a displaced worker could retrain as an office worker. When the internet disrupted retail, workers moved into logistics or services. AI doesn't leave a convenient gap to move into. Whatever you retrain for, it's improving at that too. Let me give you a few specific examples. Matt continues to make this tangible, but I just want to be clear that these are just examples. This list is not exhaustive. If your job isn't mentioned, it doesn't mean it's safe. Almost all knowledge work is being affected. AI can already read contracts, summarize case law, draft briefs, and do legal research at a level that rivals junior associates. The managing partner mentioned isn't using AI because it's fun. He's using it because it's outperforming his associates on many tasks. We'll stop hiring at the lower levels. We will knock the base out of the pyramid because there's no point hiring low-level analysts, low-level clerks in the legal profession. That means we won't have clerks raising up through progression and cutting their teeth on low-level grunt work like discovery, for example. Gone. AI is going to take all of that. So this same pattern will happen across many professions and industries where the entry level will go first. It will be gutted. People will say, if you take out the entry level, we won't have people learning how to be lawyers and accountants, and then the whole thing comes tumbling down. They won't destroy their own industries. Yes, they will. The people making these decisions, the managing partners, the heads of these firms, they're thinking about their bottom line right now. They are thinking about retirement in 5 to 10 years. How can they maximize profit and reduce costs over the next couple of years? They don't care if the firm is around 20, 30 years from now. Plus, competitors in the industry are starting to use artificial intelligence, which means your hands are tied and you do not have a choice as to whether you start to use artificial intelligence. Industries won't do this themselves. They're not stupid. They won't stop hiring people because that will collapse the whole pyramid. They just want to maximize profits in the short term. They're not thinking about the 10, 20, 50-year future of the firm. Financial analysis. Building models, analyzing data, writing investment memos, generating reports. AI handles these competently and is improving fast. Writing content, marketing, report, journalism, technical writing. The quality has reached a point where many professionals can't distinguish AI output from human work. This is why I shut down my digital marketing agency. When GPT 3.5 came out, I remember using it and thinking, it's a bit crap, it might get better. A couple of years down the line, this is going to be a huge problem. Writing advert copy for sales pages, preparing campaigns, etc. All going to be automated. We'll produce 100 variations of a sales page, test them all, see which one works. We don't need to handcraft that anymore, so I'm out. I actually shut down my agency because of this. I saw the writing on the wall. I have people still in the agency game, in marketing, and I am glad I made that jump. Software engineering. This is a field I know best. A year ago, AI could barely write code without errors, and now it writes hundreds of thousands of lines correctly. Large parts of the job are already automated, not just simple tasks, but complex multi-day projects. There will be far fewer programming roles in a few years than there are today. Yeah. I had somebody on my live yesterday who said, I'm studying computer science. What do you recommend? My answer was start to build something you can sell yourself. Because if you are relying on an employer to give you a job, that's a bad bet because the job market is going to get slammed. Go out, carve your own space, start to build something. Yes, you need to learn how to run a business. You need to learn marketing. You're going to have to learn all this stuff as well. But that is how you survive. And thankfully, there's huge opportunities right now using AI to make a lot of money very quickly. I saw there's a guy, just as an example, there's a guy in San Francisco, and because OpenClaw or Claude bot is popular, everyone's like, I need it. How do I set it up? He will come to your office or house and for $2,500 set up a Mac Mini for you. He'll secure it, install a Claude bot to help you get set up on Telegram. Boom, he's done. He's only doing it in San Francisco because he's driving around doing it for people. Apparently, he's made about $1 million already. And there are opportunities. You need to pay attention. Medical analysis, reading scans, analyzing lab results, suggesting diagnoses, reviewing literature. AI is approaching or exceeding human performance in several areas. Scans, so imaging in particular. They're very good at reading scans, better than humans. When you have a human and an AI working together, that does worse than the AI by itself. Certain areas will be extremely liable to disruption, like imaging, whereas others, for example, nursing, will not be as much because it's non-algorithmic. Every single day you're dealing with different shit, basically. It's more physical. There's a physical component and robotics is still behind, and it requires a lot of human empathy. So nursing, pretty safe. Radiography, done. Customer service, generally capable AI agents, not the frustrating chatbots of years ago, are being deployed now, handling complex multi-step problems. The problem is we still use the word chatbot. So most companies, when you say, oh, I'll build you an AI chatbot, they're still thinking of the crappy ones from years ago based on decision trees, not large language models. You need another word. Customer service agent is a bit better. We could go on. We can talk about every single industry. All industries will get hit at different rates. So some will be safer for now, but they're all going to be affected in some way. And remember, even if you are in a safe industry, if other industries are not safe and people are losing their jobs and people are losing their incomes and industries are collapsing, your industry will have knock-on effects. There will be problems in your industry because there's less disposable income to spend on you and your service. So I know I've talked to a few people who are quite smug. They're like, oh, it's actually not going to touch mine. It's like, yes, it is, because I don't know, if you're running a physiotherapy clinic and AI can't really do the physical manipulation, that's fine. But what if people have no money to pay for physical therapy sessions? Think about the second and third order consequences here. Matt continues, a lot of find comfort that certain things are safe. The AI can handle grunt work but can't replace human judgment. Creativity, strategic thinking and empathy. I used to say this too. I'm not sure I believe it anymore. I'm agreeing with Matt. The most recent AI models make decisions that feel like judgment. They show an intuitive sense of the right call, not just the technically correct one. A year ago, that would have been unthinkable. My rule of thumb at this point is, if a model shows even a hint of capability today, the next generation will be genuinely good at it. These are things that improve exponentially, not linearly. I had this yesterday when I was working on my ad campaigns for the METR ads, and I have 90 video variations. And I was like, I'm going to set them all up. I'm going to run them all. My AI said, no, that's the wrong thing to do. And I was like, oh, excuse me? Then it told me how I should do it properly based on my budget, saying, hey, you're going to choke out your ad variations. Your budget's not high enough to test this amount of variations. Therefore, we're going to run these series of tests. We're going to test the hooks first, then the body and different variations. So it gave me a testing schedule and said, no, the way you want to do it is not correct. We can do it better. That's what we need. And that's increasingly happening, because that is not just doing what I tell it to do, because that's not what I want. That is instead judgment and taste coming into it, and it telling me we are going to do this a better way. Matt continues, will AI replicate deep human empathy, replace the trust built over years of a relationship? I don't know, maybe not. But I've already watched people begin relying on AI for emotional support, for advice, for companionship, and that trend is only going to grow. So tellingly, GPT-4 is being deprecated the 13th of February. A lot of people are upset about that. I did a video about this. I was quoted in a Tech Radar article saying, we shouldn't dismiss this. Even if you don't feel companionship, even if you don't feel empathy from artificial intelligence, it is wrong of you and it's unkind of you to be mean to people who do feel this. So I think this is a large usage of artificial intelligence. Open Router found about 40% of the open tokens were for role play and companionship purposes. This is a huge usage of AI that even if you don't use it, doesn't mean it's not a real usage. There's also, I was chatting to a guy who runs a business, and they're just integrated an AI phone system. And when they had a high volume of calls, they didn't have enough human operators. So they switched on their AI system before it was ready. At the beginning of a call, it would say, hey, do you want to talk to an AI We're going to put you through to an AI. If you don't want to talk to an AI and you want to talk to a human, no problem, we'll put you through. Nearly everybody stayed with the AI, especially younger people. Gen Z do not want to talk to a person. They're happy talking to an AI. We might be overestimating how much people need a human for customer service. And now this company is fully moving towards artificial intelligence-based calls because it worked so well. They were pushed towards it by a crisis. They had too many calls. But after that, they're like, that was really good. That worked really well. And yeah, human customer support is very expensive. We'll see how that decision goes. I think the honest answer is that nothing that can be done on a computer is safe in the medium term, in the short term. If your job happens on a screen, if the core of what you do is reading, writing, analyzing, deciding, communicating through a keyboard, then AI is coming for significant parts of it. The timeline isn't someday, it's already started. Eventually, robots will handle physical work too. They're not quite there yet, but not quite there yet in terms of AI is becoming here faster than anyone expects. 100%. Physical work is a bit safer. It's not safe. So when I see people saying, I'm going to retrain as a plumber, remember it takes 3, 4, 5 years to become a plumber. You're going to be coming out into a market where some other people have had the same idea of you, so they're retrained as plumbers, then we have too many plumbers, increases supply, decreases what you can charge, and maybe robots start taking those jobs. Training in trades as a carpenter or plumber or sparky is not the instant get out that a lot of people think it might be, because the robots are coming. They're expensive and they're a bit crap at the moment. They will not be 5 to 10 years from now. I do have a call in 15 minutes. What should you actually do? I'm not writing this to make you feel helpless. The single biggest advantage you can have right now is simply being early. If you are watching this live stream right now, if you're watching this on YouTube later or a video, a short clip of it or whatever, you are early. You're early. I talk to the public a lot about artificial intelligence. Most people are still using ChatGPT as a Google replacement, basically. That is the level. They're also using the free ChatGPT as well. So you are well ahead. If you are even thinking about things like OpenClaw and Claude Code, and you're up to date on what the newest models are, that you are leagues ahead in a good position. What can you do? Start using AI seriously, not just as a search engine. Sign up for a paid version of Claude or ChatGPT. It's $20 a month. I would say the best $20 a month you can spend on anything. But 2 things matter right away. First, make sure you're using the best model available, not just the default. These apps often default to a faster, dumber model. Dig into the settings and select the most capable option. Right now, it's GPT 5.2 on ChatGPT or Opus 4.6 on Claude. It changes every couple of months. If you use Claude Opus 4.6 on a $20 a month plan, you are going to hit the wall very quickly. If you can afford $100 a month, I would recommend it, but start with the $20 a month until you start hitting that wall regularly. Second, most important, don't just ask it quick questions most people make. They treat it like Google and then wonder what the fuss is about. Instead, push it into your actual work. If you're a lawyer, feed in the contract and ask it to find every clause that could hurt your client. If you're in finance, give it a messy spreadsheet and ask it to build a model. If you're a manager, paste in your team's quarterly data and ask it to find the story. The people getting ahead aren't using AI casually. They're looking for ways to automate parts of their job that used to take hours. Start with the things you spend the most time on. Start with your tasks. Don't find out what other people are using AI for. It's not relevant. Think about what you do on a day-to-day. What is repetitive? What takes up a lot of time? What do you find boring? Hand it over to AI. Spend an hour working out how to do that. And then you're not going to have to do that task for the rest of your life. It's well worth that investment. And don't assume it can't do something because it seems too hard. Try it. I get so many people come to me and saying, can AI do this? And my answer is always, I don't know. Try it. Stick it in. See what happens. If you're a lawyer, don't just use it for research questions. Give it an entire contract and ask it to draft a counter proposal. If you're an accountant, don't just ask it to explain a tax rule. Give it a client's full return. Maybe don't do that. And see what it finds for privacy reasons. The first attempt might not be perfect. Iterate. Rephrase what you asked, give it more context, try again, and you might be shocked at what works. You have to try it out. Here's the thing to remember. If it even works today, then you can be almost certain that in 6 months it would do it perfectly. The trajectory only goes in one direction. This is what I say to people if they are having difficulty doing a certain task with AI. A couple of things you can do, but one of the methods is you just wait 6 months and then try again, and you'll be able to do it. Matt continues, this might be the most important year of your career. Work accordingly. I don't say that to stress you out. Right now, there's a brief window where most people are ignoring this. The person who walks into a meeting and says, I used AI to do this analysis in an hour instead of 3 days is going to be the most valuable person in the room. Not eventually, right now. Learn these tools, get proficient, demonstrate what's possible. If you're early enough, this is how you move up, by being the person who understands what's coming and can show others how to navigate it. I charge $2,000 and £2,000 an hour for teaching people at workshops. It's good money. That window won't stay open. Once everyone figures it out, the advantage disappears. You need to move on this now, 100%. Some people will say, if I used AI to do this analysis an hour instead of 3 days, and I walk into a meeting and tell people, that's going to cause problems because we're not allowed to use AI, and my manager doesn't like AI. Leave. Get out of that company. Leave. If they're not using AI, if they're not embracing, this is not hyperbole. If your company are pushing back on AI, if they are banning AI, it's done. That company will not be extant. It will not be around a couple of years from now. It's going to get crushed by new people using AI or by your competitors using artificial intelligence. If your company is not embracing this, it's game over. It might not feel like it yet, but a couple of years from now, it's done. So leave. Get out of there. Have no ego about this. The managing partner at that law firm isn't too proud to spend hours a day with AI. He's doing it specifically because he's senior enough to understand what's at stake. I have a great example of this, of one of my trainers taught a bunch of accountants and lawyers in America. Very smart people, extremely smart people. They knew their profession, they knew their job. They still needed help with things like how to start a new chat in ChatGPT, why they should get an account instead of using the free version. What was the other one? Oh yeah, how to add like line breaks and stuff, like so you could organize your thoughts a bit more. Like really things we would consider so basic. But these are very smart people. They just haven't used artificial intelligence yet, and they're not good at it. And that's fine. We all start somewhere. And you need to start, you need to make mistakes, you need to learn how to use this technology, and then you move from there. If you want a heads up, go to aiwithkyle.com, join the community, and there's a free 5-day AI readiness course which will get you started. I'm going to have to finish this up because this is an incredibly long essay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the newsletter. So far, I've agreed with nearly all of this. And it's a fantastic essay, and I can see why it's got 71 million views. I recommend you read it all. I also recommend you send it to people. So you might read this and be like, yeah, obvious. Send this to people who are outside our AI bubble because they need to know what's going on too. So I will add this into the newsletter. That will be free. That is at aiwithkyle.com. Then come to join the community, and that will get you access to the newsletter and the courses. I will put this Matt Schumer article in full into the newsletter, as well as my analysis and commentary on it as well. And all of this will appear on YouTube. Let me pull up the actual one. There I am. You can find me on, very obnoxious, I am Kyle Balmer on YouTube. We're at 15,500 subscribers, slowly making our way. Join the newsletter and you'll get information, including the AI readiness course and a bunch of other courses, how to start a business with AI, how to start giving workshops, etc. That's all free, and you will be sent via email. Hopefully I'll see a few of you in there. Thank you so much, and I will see you